Hello, hello, and welcome back to the final day of EPIC44 with Intel and the VALORANT tournament sponsored by ASUS Republic of Gamers. And my, what a spicy matchup we have.
Oh, honestly, we've been watching the matches all weekend. Would you say it's what we're expecting?
I'll be honest, I think so. Around about yesterday, talking to the casters, talking to the admins, I was like, where are we at with this? And they're like, Willie G Palace, once again, really, really dominant. 7F looking to be, the contender going up against them in the final. But of course, they played each other. Little bit of a shaky start, though.
I think this is actually one of the first times where they've both lost a map in the finals. Usually we have one that's absolutely completely dominant. But knowing that there's a little bit of risk involved, it makes it a bit better, doesn't it?
Exactly. Often we see teams that have never dropped a map before coming to the stage. So it's exciting to finally have a matchup where both teams have those vulnerabilities that we've seen on display. And actually, a little bit of an interesting one as well, because one of the players on 7F was on the Willie G team that won last LAN.
Ooh, I feel like that's going to create a bit of tension, you know what I mean? Or maybe a bit of a rivalry.
Exactly. It's just going to make them want to beat 7F even harder, isn't it?
Yeah. Or the other way around.
Or the other way around. Now, of course, there are a couple of things that we do have to mention here.
Yeah.
Because, as we said, ASUS Republic of Gamers has sponsored an MVP prize. Mm-hmm. And it is two very magnificent pieces of peripherals. We have the ROG Harp Ace AIM Labs Edition mouse.
Ooh.
It's very snazzy and exclusive. And the Falchion H Ace HFX keyboard. A little bit of a mouthful. Very cool.
Is this where you announce that I'm the MVP and I get it?
No, sadly not. MVP in our hearts, though.
In our hearts, yeah.
In our hearts. But I do think it's about time that we introduce the teams to the stages. So first up, it is my pleasure to welcome back to the EPIC.LAN stage, Willie G Palace. Oh, here they come. All right, hello. Now, the one, the only, the magnificent Pork Chops. How are you feeling on this fine morning?
I'm good, thank you. Looking forward to the games. Should be a good one.
I'll steal this back from you to ask you the next question. Now, early morning start. How are you feeling? Team tired? You get enough sleep?
Yeah, you could say I'm feeling tired. It was a busy one yesterday. But no, we've played these guys before. We're confident. Yeah, should be a swift 2-0.
Now, you've got a friend on the enemy team. Is it still friend?
Are we referring to Corsa?
Yes.
Yeah, we're still on good terms.
And does this motivate you to want to win even harder? Or is this, is it all sort of friendly banter?
Yeah, I think it's all friendly banter. It's nothing too deep. But yeah, it would be nice to, punish him for leaving the palace.
And finally, are you guys taking home the victory? Going into this, are you feeling the victory? Are you confident already?
Yeah, I mean, we played these guys yesterday. We beat them. We're going to beat them again,
Casual, calm, cool, collected. I'll let you join your team and get ready for the series ahead. Now, what is a final without the competition?
Oh, yeah, well, it's kind of obvious, isn't it?
A little bit.
So I think that's time where we should welcome to the stage our next team who will be competing in the grand finals, 7F. So, just generic feelings. How are you?
Tired. Horrible losers run yesterday. We were here for a long time. Same as last event, but, hopefully we play well.
Is that adding to the pressure? Because obviously you did lose to them yesterday.
No, I think we're all too tired to care. I don't think anyone cares. We're just going to play our game, have fun, and see where it goes.
Does that mean you think you're going to win? You're going to have that nonchalantness that just gets you there?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. We're just going to run it down, see what happens.
Run it down, I like that. So I'll let you go back to your seat and we can get to the game. But the teams just seem quite casual today.
This is cold.
Yeah.
This is ice cold from both of them. And maybe little bit different ends of the cold spectrum. We've got just tired but ready to go. And we talked about it, you put in the reps, you're up late, you build up that stamina.
Yes.
If you do the late nights, if you do the long nights, You get to map threes, you get to overtimes. You've been in these places before. But speedrunning the tournament is still a good look.
Yeah, true. But obviously, I feel like everyone's in esports here. Everyone can last. Like, you know what I mean? There's no struggles there. Everyone's awake past that time. No one's struggling.
Touche. But I think that is enough of us for now. We have two wonderful casters waiting in the wings to take you through the action. So I'm going to hand you over to them.
Hello, and thank you for a great introduction. I mean, how can you be so nonchalant?
I don't know. I mean, you're getting so far into this tournament, you would think, there'd be some sort of enthusiasm, but, they're here to have fun.
No, exactly. And like we said before, we have played together on stream, and we actually got to cast that.
Yep.
Which was, I mean, it was great fun. And them running it down is definitely exactly what they do, let's be honest.
Yep.
For Buckies, for judges, that's what I want to see.
Love to see it.
Yeah, exactly. But as always, I will be your play-by-play for today. I am Quix, and I'm always joined by Mads Bear. And, I mean, just let's talk through maps, I feel like. We talked on stage with them a little bit.
7F actually asked us what maps we wanted. We said we don't care what you pick, just no Haven and no Pearl.
I requested no Lotus, and I got shut down very quick.
No, that's not happening.
I am cursed with Lotus. I mean, I don't think I've ever been able to cast any event and the team's not pick Lotus. And I've been told by players all weekend, if they spot me, they tell me that they're going to pick Lotus. They ask when I'm casting, so that they can pick Lotus. And it's getting to me. It's getting too much. I don't want any more Lotus.
It's a good map.
No. No, it is a good map. It is a good map.
I mean, we haven't seen any Split or Fracture this weekend. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Split is one of those maps where every player they don't want to play it. Mid's horrible. It's an awkward map and no one wants to do it, which is fair. And Fracture, again, it's not been back for long. If you're comfortable on these other maps, there's really no point.
Yeah, and let's be honest, it's UK Valorant.
Yeah.
I don't think I've met a single UK player that actually likes playing Fracture. I feel like everyone just dodges Fracture all the time. So let's be honest, we're probably not going to see Fracture, are we?
No.
But we are going to be getting our vetoes any second now, so we will actually be seeing
what maps
we're going to be getting. And there you go,
Okay.
Fracture banned that stereo. Oh, we banned Lotus.
Yeah, okay.
That feels
Okay,
so
Pearl
good.
pick. Still, we can't escape it.
We can't escape Pearl.
It's
No,
never
we
gonna
got
happen.
Bind first
But
map.
Bind first map, and that's a really strong pick, right? And these players are so confident on Bind, and we saw it a little bit yesterday as well. All the teams are very, very confident on this map.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've not had it be the first map of the series so far. Normally they like to warm up on Lotus or Pearl, for only two maps which we ever play. But having Bind as first map, it's such an aggressive, close quarters map to kick things off.
Yeah, I mean, let's go for it.
Yeah? What kind of... So based on what we've seen them do on Bind so far, we're talking about how they're going to run it down. I feel like Bind is kind of perfect for that, no?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've got those raised satchels probably going to come in handy quite a few times on this map. Although that deadlock, which tends to be picked nowadays, those sound trips can really screw up that entry.
Yeah, definitely. And with the addition of characters like Teho, with those missiles straight into lamps, it just gives you so much control and so much space.
Yeah, we've seen Teho, Brim, Gecko, all of these mollies and missiles that, exactly, showers, lamps, all these entries onto sites. It's not going to be great.
Just completely denied straight away. But, it's a map where Killjoy's not normally picked.
No.
So it's not going to have too much of an effect. No. That's something which we've seen all weekend, is just teams fighting over trying to make Killjoy still work.
Yeah. And
just getting completely counted out by Teho every time.
I mean, we could possibly be seeing some Vice as well. We know that B on Bind is one of the hardest maps. It is the hardest site, in the game to retake on defense. So I think maybe that flash from Vice as a Sentinel could help as well.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
I'm hoping to see a bit of Yori, personally. We've seen a lot of Yori this weekend. I've been so happy to see it.
I'm glad he's back. Neon had her time. It's over. It's done.
Neon had a ridiculous time.
Ridiculous run. Yeah. But I have seen a few people play it, not over the weekend, but gradually, trying to learn how to work around that nerf.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be seeing her today.
No. I hope we don't see it today, purely so that we get Yori. I want to see more Yori plays, because Yori partnered with Teho seems to work so well. Being able to find that information with your drone, and then isolate someone into a corner with your missiles, and then have that gate crash come out with a flash, and it's just working way too well. And I want to see it work.
Not to mention on bind, you can send those decoys straight through the teleporters.
Yeah, true.
That's some really cool plays with that as well.
We've seen some really creative plays, to be fair, with those Yori clones all weekend because Vice has been picked so much.
Yeah.
Baiting out entire setups with just your clone and then being able to just completely storm site and just take it for free.
Yeah, like you say, it's literally free. I'm interested to see in terms of smokes. I think Brim is typically the pick for this map. I wouldn't say. I don't think Clove's ever gonna. It's
Probably not. When you have like players who are as competent as the players which you have today,
exactly.
you're probably going to see Brim, which we've seen Brim quite a few times on bind so far this weekend,
Yeah.
and it's been working out. I think those have been the closest games we've had, really.
Yeah, and we also did see the deadlock trap with the Brim ult.
True. Yeah, we did see
Quite a few,
the net come through.
Yeah, I want to see some Valorant rounds, with full util.
Just flashing lights
I want
everywhere.
everyone to build up their ultimates and just free for all 10 ults at the same time.
Is that just so you can see how fast I'm actually able to speak? Because it's not that fast.
Yeah.
It's not fast enough for 10 ults. But no, I mean, we also saw our first Gecko pick on bind yesterday.
We did.
The only Gecko pick we've seen on stream.
It's probably the only map, maybe Lotus, but I think Bind's the only map where Gecko really comes into play. That wingman is so strong.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean...
he's a 6th man. You just throw him in and the spike's down for free. If you can take sight, but...
I still remember when he was first announced and everyone thought you were going to be able to give him weapons. And I was so excited and I'm so disappointed that that's never been a thing. Even for an event, come on, chuck wingman and op. Set him up on long. But no, yeah. Gecko's only been picked once so far, but it worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
We saw like a lot of really effective util coming out.
Yeah, especially with that thrash. You typically want to try and detain someone, preferably, but it creates that space where people are going to run away from it if they can't shoot it, if they're in close quarters. So we saw so many times, that thrash going through A main and taking people, defending the site back into CT.
Yeah.
At that point, they go, well, we've got no time to defuse the spike.
Yeah.
They're safe.
Just forcing onto a retake without really having to risk anything, because you just send that thrash in and then you just hide. Although we did see a few times yesterday the perfect guesses and the Brim ult managing to be placed directly on Gecko every time he used his ult. But I don't think people are going to read everything that easily again. I hope that was a fluke. But no, who else are we kind of expecting to see? Other than like Yoru, because that's what I want to see. But duelist-wise.
If anything, Raze, like I mentioned earlier, will be in the picks. Jet, possibly just because she's an all-round good duelist.
Yeah.
But I would probably say we'll probably be seeing Euro on one side and Raze on the other, which is going to be interesting to see how these entries differ from team to team. And how they're also used in defense, because that's the main thing about duelists, right? You can play well on attack, but the main issue is defense and how you work around that.
Yeah.
We might be seeing quite a few aggressive plays, possibly. We know Woody G like to, go full send here and there.
Yeah, very true.
So hopefully have a few plays. But yeah, I Raze is, the go-to.
And if
for
we get
bind.
that deadlock pick you talked about as well,
Yeah,
combined with the raise,
that is true.
Yeah. It's always just so messy. When you go to try and
love it.
enter a site and then you get netted and you can't even move and a grenade just rolls around the corner.
I mean, we're talking about this in terms of just like flashes, and when you get to the point where you just so many flashes, so many different colours in your screen, you just stop.
Yeah.
You sit back and you just wait.
Turn your mouse off.
Yeah,
It's-
you're done.
you can't run that fast. Even Neon can't run that fast. But no, moving over to, second map.
Yeah. Okay.
Going into that Pearl pick.
Oh.
Pearl is one which we've seen a lot of over this weekend, and I feel like because of that, everyone knows how each other are going to play it.
Yeah, I think we've got some pretty default comps going. Probably see some KO
Yeah.
stuff like that. Maybe some ISO and some Yoro, but we'll have to see.
Right, getting into our agent select, we've got the instant Brim, which is what we were asking for.
We got the Raze and the Yoro on the same team. I like it.
I'm for it.
Yeah, with the deadlock and the Brim. Right, the util is going to be very, very heavy from Willie G. But we're seeing that that Gecko that you mentioned, along with a Fade. We did actually see Fade a little bit on Bind yesterday as well.
Yeah.
Not a bad agent to pick.
Yeah, I mean, when it's teams like this,
Yeah.
because they know what they're doing and they have those lineups, you can get a lot of information in a lot of places very easily with Fade without having to really put yourself at much risk.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking about the double duelist again, obviously hasn't been locked in yet, but ISO instead of the Yoru.
It's looking like we might get double duelist versus double duelist.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very aggressive, fast-paced match.
With the ISO Yuto, especially the ultimate, the sights on bind are so small that you've got so much more area that you're covering with that ultimate. You're more likely to pick someone up, right?
Yeah.
With that ult. The brim makes sense. You know, standard.
That's bind for you.
Exactly. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, very true. And the second Gecko pick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked about Gecko a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, he was picked almost every single game for the last, like, 2 EPIC.LANs.
Yeah.
And then he's gone to, we're shocked that we've seen a second pick.
He had a little bit of a rework, but not enough to warrant, you know, drastic changes in comps. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how they utilize this new. But I don't know, it's just a bit weird.
He's just been completely just
Yeah.
pushed to the
Poor
side.
guy.
But no, I mean, the comps are kind of exactly what you were expecting to see,
Yeah,
really.
the thing is, Bind's been out for so long as well. Is
Yeah.
that everyone's so used to it. Yeah, Take-Ho comes in, changes it up a little bit, but
Yeah,
everyone's
but
used to it by now.
it's a map which doesn't really get changed either.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
sometimes
only
we
been
see
minor
Sky.
changes. True. I mean, the fact that we're not really seeing much of a pop flash,
Yeah.
other than from Yoru,
Yeah.
is a little bit unusual. Normally you want to take that pop flash so you can get up long and into garden quite
Definitely.
effectively.
Especially with these players, you know, that Gecko flash might not be enough. If you can instantly, you know, you can't shoot it, never mind. But you know, you're ready, the reaction times to be able to dodge that splash.
Yeah.
No, sorry, you can't dodge it, you can shoot it.
Yeah, going into our first round, we're going to be kicking things off with a lot of aggression over into Baths already and a trade. Back and forth already within only a matter of seconds. Looking for a second, trying to deck those spams through the wall onto Kubfu, activating that double tap. Deck already on site, flanking through into showers, already getting that pincer going through. Well, spams all the damage and the double kill with what I think was only one right click. Down to a 4 versus 2. It's not even been 40 seconds yet. Plant is going to get secured pretty easily, pretty safely. Hazard coming through short, trying to find that pick. Manages to give a headshot through onto Will. Everyone's going to slow down a lot. You just need to find that information. Not a lot of health to play with on the side of Willie G. Porky Chop might find the timing, gets the headshot through the smoke. Taken down with that right click. An insanely tricky situation to find yourself in. Gets taken out with a body shot from Deck. We said we were going to see aggression.
Yeah.
But a round to only last like 50 seconds. There's a lot more aggression than we were expecting.
I honestly thought Sevenfold had that then, Sevenfold. Because, okay, yeah, they didn't have the advantage with the players alive, but there was so much damage done early on to Willie G that it was definitely doable. But with this map being so small, the flanks are so easy.
Oh, honestly, and for Deck to get into sight so quickly and not get contested in short
Yeah.
at all, and be able to just walk into sight completely free, and manage to get that double kill with just one right click as well. Completely switching it up this round. A much slower approach.
It's the go-to though, right? You know, try and confuse them a little bit, throw things around.
It's going for that default spread. I mean, last round we didn't even care about information. We just ran it down, but
The thing is though, like you have the advantage with the guns, but you don't want to throw them away. It could be in such a way so you're running in straight away and meeting 3 classics, all right-clicking you, you're losing that gun.
it is very true. And with a map like Bind as well, it's such short sightlines, but even pistols can still do a lot of damage. So you don't really have that range advantage to mess about with when you have these Bulldogs and Guardians. Sending some spams through the smoke, no damage managing to be found. Just completely slowing it down and backing off with a rotate over onto B site, 4 stacked over. A is completely clear.
Such a fast rotate.
No time is going to be found for Hazard there to try and grab a free pick.
4-man
And A
flank.
is completely in Willie G's control. Plant's going to go down very easily.
30 seconds left.
It's going to be a 5-man pistol retake attempt from Sevenfold.
There's a 4-man flank on the way.
Deck seems to be aware, finds one, goes for the second, but gets shut down. Kubfu trying to keep Sevenfold in play here. I mean, you're forced to play so slow because you're going against weapon advantage. Shots coming through. Porky Chop and Will finding picks each, and Luca coming through with a third. Down to a 4v1 with only a classic in hand. No utility to play with. You have to just hide for an exit. There is no chance you can just run in and find anything here, surely.
No, sure you can try and die to the spike there to get a little bit more money. It's interesting because the 4-man flank is so easy on this map. Yeah, it didn't work out in their favor, but in terms of you've got that deadlock, right, as that sentinel, you can walk straight, you can crouch straight past those strips.
Yeah.
You know, like they're there, and you may not expect them here and there. You might get caught by one, but very unlikely, especially the players that are playing today. But okay, that was expected. You know, second round.
Yeah, typically goes to whoever won pistol.
Exactly. So hopefully now the guns aren't looking bad.
No,
Sevenfold should try. You know, they've got that gun advantage. 1 half shield is not the end of the world against, you know, Porky Chop with that outlaw.
Missiles away.
What kind of gets concerning is normally on third round you go rifles against some SMGs, but that's not how it's going to look. Grenade comes through. Putting my armor onto its regen. The headshot comes through from Corsair. Shutting down Will. Just trying to deny any aggression. And the second pick goes through, but not before Luke can find one of his own. 4 versus 3 so early on into the round. Bark manages to find a sum of a wingman, but doesn't manage to get any picks from it. 2 on 2. Spike will be planted. I don't think we've seen the timer go below a minute before the spike's been planted so far this game. Information has been found over in backside, forcing out that gate crash. Still 2 flashes in hand to play with. Surely you're just waiting to hear any sort of tap, any sort of information to be found before you go for anything here. Those 2 flashes could be really powerful. If timed correctly, but no, course is going to take you down. Tries to hunt for the second Porky Chop. Keeping Willie G in the running. And manages to find a second with what looks like a run and gun round the wall for the headshot. And it's now 3-0 to Willie G.
You mentioned that Euro clone earlier on before the game. You basically just saw it there. Wingman immediately went for that Euro clone and it threw everyone off. And immediately gave Willie G the site. Yes, it was a close round, but again, B is such a hard site to retake. And you're finding, you know, Willie G is so good at sitting back when they need to and not overextending. They're just, yeah, you know, we'll let the time run down. It's okay. And it's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and it becomes really difficult as well when Willie G can go from being so passive and just barely even moving to all of a sudden taking so much space and being the most aggressive team we've ever played against. It's that ability to just switch up on the fly, which makes him so powerful. But Lucas managed to find a double kill with the Outlaw over in long. Such early impact. The map is now Willie G's to play with completely.
Look at the defense. It's completely split up now. Well, the rotate will be coming through. There's a strong want for this showers early on, actually, from both teams. And
But Porky Chop managed to find a third against that Marshall. I mean, you only have 2 pistols in hand, but Hazard doesn't even care. Goes and finds one. With a one-tap over onto Luke, he finds a second. Deck falls. The Annihilation will come through, though, and Hazard manages to duck through into the TP, but it's now going to be on that late rotate. Spam comes through. Luca takes down Kufu. Hazard going for a second TP. Has a lot of utility to play with, and a 1v3 it could be doable. Goes for the jump peek spam just to try and find that information in a safe manner. You need to find a pick or 2 before you commit too much. With the Tejo missile's going to come through, and the 4K for Luca with the headshot over into Hookah. 4-0 to Willie G.
Again, it was their buy round. So this is a point where the rounds really start to leave you if you can't, you know, at least bring one into the game. But they do have that Brim ultimate. The orbital strike can be very, very handy. It just depends how they use it, because it's basically crucial at this point.
Yeah, do you use it in an aggressive manner to go and try to take some space and try and get some picks, or are you going to sit back and just play for those
Exactly.
But against Willie G, who, like we talked about, just switch between slow to fast gameplay all the time, but going fast. This time the Dimensional Drift's already come through. Luke finding so much information. There's that Orbital Strike, completely cutting off any attempt to push through CT. Deck is going to find that plant. But the 3-man flank, but the spray down finds 2. Will finding so much impact before getting shut down by Bark. Porky Chop trying to find a way to follow up. Satchel will be denied, and Mamosh going into that cubby, but Luki found another pick over and backside. The spams come through, but Porkychop manages to find the trade over onto Bark. If we saw the triple spray down on that flank, then I don't even know.
That's the thing when I mentioned about that deadlock utility not being great with that flank. It does mean one of your players has to hold back and watch it. However, with a team like Willie G, it doesn't matter. 4 of them on site, absolutely fine. They really don't care.
They're just really not too fast.
No.
But that's the conversation which comes up with deadlock all the time. Is
Yeah.
Are the trips really that useful?
That's why you tend to see her paired up as a double sentinel with, you know, Cypher, those really strong trips. But on a map like this, I don't really think it's needed.
Corsa finding a very early first pick with a headshot through the wall onto deck with that Guardian. Goes to find a second. Just trying to keep Sevenfold in the game as much as possible. Vulnerable comes through and manages to find a lot of damage with that Marsh. Corsa finding a third. I find Corsa always seems to be somehow more impactful with a Guardian than a Vandal or a Phantom. Managing to find quite a few picks on quite a rough buy. That flash does come through, but Bark with the anti-flash manages to counter. But Luki with 2 picks on the return. 1 versus 3. Looking for that space, but Corsa with the 1 tap to close out that 4K on the board. It's 5-1.
We've seen Corsa over, you know, the weekend, and it's been the same thing every time. Just
Yeah.
the headshots are crazy. I mean, yesterday we saw the 3K with the defuse
The
on
triple 1 tap to deny a defuse. Yeah, we did see that.
We did see that. That happened.
And 2 back-to-back aces as well in a 29-kill game,
Yeah,
all in the same day.
But we've also seen Sevenfold have those early picks and those first bloods a lot of these rounds, and they're finally starting to, you know, utilize that a little bit more than they were before.
A lot of util committed very early for this Baths push. Corsa finding a pick onto Will. But the quadruple peek to try and find that return. Deck manages to find 1, followed by Luca, but before Koopfu can get the trade. Showstopper online, trying to find another. Luki does fall. 2 versus 1, but not a lot of HP. That spam through the wall would be all it would take. Porkychop needing to make sure that you're making the right decision here when you're in a 1v2.
Sometimes it's best to just reset, you know, get to the other side and try again. Try and get some sort of advantage with that spike down. That man numbers are not in his favor.
But with the Showstopper, this could be
That's very true.
a very, very doable 1 versus 2.
Waddles is so weak. If you can try and get, you know, 1 shot onto him, make it down to 1v1, just play time.
If you can find Waddles first and get that
Yeah.
easy pick, then you can use that Showstopper to make that next 1v1 so one-sided. Opting to take the high ground off angle, holding through that cross. This could be perfect. You know, Waddles is going to be sent in first because he's on that lower HP. He's going to be used as bait. Could find the most perfect plan. Some shots go through, finds the ding onto Hazard, but misses the shot onto Waddles, putting both players down to 10 HP, but not managing to find any picks.
And that's that Phantom for you, that headshot and not being able to get the kill. It's a good gun, but in situations like that, you just like, why?
In that long range,
Is
it just doesn't quite come through. But we've seen it with the sprays. When you spray down multiple people, it's the Phantom that you want in hand.
Definitely.
But those long range fights, it just doesn't
Definitely.
shine.
And that's the thing, you've got to try and put yourself in positions that work best for the gun that you've got. Because you never know what's going to happen in a round, right? For example, you pick up a
exactly.
Bucky and suddenly, you know, you find yourself down B long. Not the place you want to be in.
No, exactly. And I feel like that high ground off angle was definitely the right place to play.
Yeah.
If that first shot went through and
Waddles,
got that body
yeah.
shot, then that would have meant that Porkychop could have tried to reposition, could have tried to play that time a little bit more. The showers control seems to be so important, but Luca finding that first pick. The ISO all going through, but the pick's already been found. Trying to capitalize on that space found in Hookah. Try to take B before the rotate comes through. Showstopper going online, satchling through into sight. Doesn't seem to be able to find anyone though. But Nightmare will come through. Only managing to tag 1. Deck trying to hold that space. There's a lot of util being committed. Armageddon coming through, completely denying any horse control. Spams come through. Deck finding the pick over onto Bark. 4 versus 3, completely blocked off by the deadlock wall. Headshot from Luca. It's like pure clockwork, but Corsa not wanting to go down without a fight, managing to find one pick through the wall. Missiles will come through, force you to back off. You're going to get taken down with that spam. Kubfu, it's all on you in 1v2, but you will get shut down. There was a lot of signs of life that round, but nothing really capitalized on too much.
I think that's the difference, right? Is that Woody G, in these scenarios, they know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
They've practiced this time and time again. It's like clockwork for them. In terms of 7F, you know, like they mentioned earlier, they don't really care that much. They're just here for a bit of fun.
They want to run it down.
Yeah, they just want, yeah,
They wanna
no
run it down.
strats, just, you know. And obviously, Corsa has played with these guys before. He knows how Woody G play, right?
Yeah,
and
true.
that you can see it happen. You know, Corsa's in the right position at the right time. But unfortunately, I don't think that teamwork is quite there compared to Woody G.
No, I'd have to agree with you. But we are seeing an example of how that teamwork could have a lot of impact with Luke going in with that dimensional drift, managing to find Hazard. Just trying to be as aggressive as possible. What does a pig managing to shut down Luki's attempt at that entry? The rotate having to come through. Kubfu hiding in a corner with this sheriff. Is he going to find a pick? The trigger discipline not quite there. Gets taken down with a little bit of spam to the body. Shots just getting traded. Annihilation comes through. Waddles is going to get caught out. Bark desperately trying to save your teammate, but you're caught in Mateo missiles. You have to run. What versus 2 and you're such low HP because of those missiles in the net. Trying to find a pick over onto Will. But Will get taken down. Even if you find a pick onto Will, Deck was ready on bench straight away for that repeat.
There's just so much utility being dumped at once. That Tejo with the deadlock, it's... I think we might be finding some new strats coming on. It's like, you know, he's so new, but he's changed the game up so much. And we've been talking about this a little bit, you know, behind the scenes. We're seeing him in so many comps, and it's not usual for new agents to be used in, you know, competitive comps like this.
Yeah.
So early on, sorry. But his kit, it was so good. Also, not to mention,
too strong to ignore.
Yeah, when you get a new agent, right, they're very strong to begin with, and they usually get nerfed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Not Tejo.
No nerf has come out
No,
so far.
He's okay for now.
He's okay for now, even when Deadlock's going to throw the net through. The missiles are going to come through, and also the annihilation all at the same time to almost take out 2 people without even having to peek them.
Yep.
It's a crazy
Balanced.
combo. Any damage ability thrown into Deadlock's net,
Yeah.
if someone's caught in that it's over.
Yeah.
You can't escape. You can't run. You have to crab walk your way out of
Yeah.
there and hope you survive.
It is a very good piece of kit. I think in terms of the rest of it, usually that's why she's not picked, because overall, there are better agents to be used. But
Yeah.
the net is so strong.
The net is so strong. When you're actually playing in a proper team,
Yeah.
where you are coordinated with each other and you
Exactly.
are actually going to capitalize on that, then that's when Deadlock actually finds that proper usage. Starting off slow until Hazard swings out, taking down Luca. I mean, when you hold the same angle every round, eventually you're going to get pre-fired. It is going to happen. Does kind of shut down that initial attempt of trying to be aggressive, though. It does kind of stop Willie G from being able to play this game how we've been playing it so far.
Again, 7F have that advantage though now, immediately. And like you said, the attack's not being as aggressive as they usually are.
I was seeing some sneaking up into long. When you have 3 members on site, you know you don't have to worry about it too much until Lukey takes down Waddles. That's a lot of pressure over on the other side of the map. Bark managing to shut that down. TP will be heard, the call will be made for that rotate. And everything's being forced to slow down so much. Surely Sevenfold need to clutch out this round. Get one more round on the board. Will managing to find so much space for free. Managing to clear so many angles. But there's a lot of information found. The missiles are probably going to go through to block out that CT. Perfect utility usage. Goes out for the peak. Manages to find the dink through the Prowler. Porkshop finding the pick over onto Bark. Willie G at a disadvantage, but not out until it's over. Sending those paint shells. Trying to deny that space over in triple, but Hazard on the flank takes down Will. Porkchop, you know you need to find that space. You find one, you find a second. Can you get the third? Paint shells in hand. Showstopper online. It's very doable, but it looks like the Orbital Strike's going to come through and force out that peak. And it will find the pick over onto Porkychop for the 4K. Sevenfold managing to find that third round. Things got very ropey in those last moments.
Yes, having to solo ult at the end isn't the place you want to be in, especially for an Orbital Strike that does so much damage to so many people. But if you've got to do it, you know, the rounds aren't looking great for 7F, and sometimes, you know, it's got to be done.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, you even heard it on stage. 7F, they just want to run it down.
Yeah.
Which,
They just
they've been put on defense first. They want to be on attack. They want to run it down. They've got a very aggressive comp.
Yes.
You know, just do whatever you can, secure any rounds, and just
have some fun.
exactly have some fun. Get yourself in a position where you can run it down a little bit more in attack.
Exactly.
Because that's what you said you're here for. And run it down they will when they push out so aggressively into short. The satchels getting traded over into short is not what you normally see. The net will be denied. Double tap online, trying to find those picks, but Lukey managing to find a double kill through with one spray. Corso with a pick of his own in response. Sending out that Prowler, trying to find information wherever you can. Taking down Lukey in backside. Can you find another over into Hookah? No, you can't. But Lamp's control has been completely taken by Porkychop there. 2v3 Spike going down when there's still over a minute on the clock again. Spams will manage to find that headshot through onto Porkychop. Will manage to find one. Bark Tunimus into a 1v1, but when you're against those Teho missiles, puts you in a very tricky spot, especially on 5 HP. You can't even tank one.
Wait for that wingman.
tick. The wingman has got back online with a headshot through the box.
Does he
Bark
want to
shut
use the
down.
missiles?
Didn't even need the missiles,
No.
get to that headshot.
Last round in the half.
This has been a very, very dominant half for
Yeah, but at the same time, we're seeing 7F, you know, the spark's there, and, you know, we're getting down to 1v1s. It's close, but at the end of the day, Woody G know how to close out these rounds.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's that
And
post-plant, you know?
7F just need to... Their retakes seem fairly strong,
Yeah.
but the problem is they're giving up way too much of that space way too early on. But they're forcing themselves into these awkward retakes. But it's hard to close out any rounds. Lukey using that dimensional drift, trying to find that information, chasing two players out of Hookah. Ramosh will come through to try and deny that long push, but Luca manages to find the pick through the smoke anyway. Complete control of sight found within only moments. With only a Guardian in hand, you know your team are worse for worse when it comes to their buy. The spike already going down.
Spike planted.
With the Armageddon still online and the headshots through the smoke to take down two players. It's Luca and Porkychop.
Last player standing.
Porkychop stuck in the wall, not able to escape. Spams will go through the one tap. Gonna take down Deck. In that 1v2 over onto Long. There's not really a lot you can do. Armageddon coming through with another tap over onto Luca. Calm, precise shots coming through from Hazard. Trying to cover that defuse attempt, but the missiles will come through to deny that. Tank a tick just to try and even half it, but Will finds the spam through the smoke. It's going to be a 9-3 half for Willie G.
9-3.
Switching
We've seen it
sides.
before.
Maybe the curse will come through. Maybe the
Hey,
9-3 curse
who
is going to be
knows?
here.
It creates a lot of pressure for these pistol rounds, right? Because if Woody G win the next 2 rounds, that's 11.
Yeah, if you win that pistol, the second round is normally yours for the taking.
Yeah.
And
most of the
being
time.
11-3 down
No.
is not a position you want to be in at all.
Not at all. But again, on the other side, those 2 rounds could go to 7F.
Exactly.
Bring it to 5. And that momentum starts, and again, they're now on attack,
Yeah.
which is what they want.
They want to run it down. They want to be aggressive. They said that on stage. But it's exactly what they want to do. And based on the difference between the defense start last time and this, it's looking like that might happen. But the nade paint shells combo we talked about earlier is going to come through to try and deny any push on short. But Waddles is just too fast for it. Managed to find that space already. Double satchel over into Lamps. Spams will come through, but Corsa not managed to find anyone. Shut down by Luca.
In A.
Just trying to find damage wherever you can. But the attack is getting denied so aggressively.
Last player standing.
So many spams coming through in a matter of seconds. 3 kills to end that round. It's 10-3. A
Right.
very different showing to the pistol round from first half.
Just a bit. It's at that point, if you're if you're, right, okay, let's do it, run it down, and you're just getting completely denied
Yeah.
by any sort of player you're trying to make, it's hard.
It's a very difficult situation to go against when you're losing players left, right, and centre. Not only are you losing that firepower, you're losing that util as well to try and get you out on site.
And we're seeing a very wide range of guns right now. We've got Judges, Buckies, Marshals, and Outlaws, I think.
Scan is going to come through and find that information over onto Bash, but there might be a timing here. Luca, Judge in hand, peeks out with a wall, manages to escape. Only barely. And that's going to force everything to slow down so much. These deadlock walls have so much control. You can hear the corner being knifed. The net will go down, and Mateo missiles coming through. Might be able to find 2 here. But it's such a near miss with the escape from the net. Hazard on such low HP. You now know where Luca is playing. You know how aggressive of a hold he's taken over in Hookah. You don't really want to push this. Pain Shell's going to go through. Not much damage to be secured. But over on A site, things seem to be picking up. Kubefu has activated that double tap and ran straight in, but the Stinger's going to take you down. Retrieving that Sheriff, try 5-1. But the spams will come through. Double kill with a Bulldog, followed by another Stinger and a Ghost Pick. It's what you expect from that round, but...
Yeah, but again, like you mentioned, it
feels rough now that you're going into that 11-3 scoreline.
Hey, it happened. It's happened before, but the thing is, yesterday they got so many more rounds in this, right? It wasn't exactly, close games, about 13-8, but we saw a lot more life. But then again, they did mention they were here very, very late last night, trying to get out of those lowers.
But it's very true. The exhaustion might
Takes a
still
toll,
be there.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite woken up. Maybe went for some karaoke after that last best of 3 ended. The Mosh Pit lineup to try and deny any push over into showers allows you to take so much space as the attacking team there. A very strong lineup. Not able to capitalize on it just yet. Send another crowd to try to find that information. The Outlaw shot going to come through. Tag Water's down to 10 HP, and the nade from Porky Chop going to get a pick through into that smoke of a Stinger spam.
Down A.
Buck's going to go down, but Hazard does manage to find a trade, followed by Kubefu. It's a 3 versus 3. You have to get this round. When you're on that full buy, you have no choice. You have to commit everything you've got. Spike will go down, but caught out by the net. The double tap with that Outlaw. Hazard manages to find Luki afterwards. Close out 3K, and Kubefu finding that last pick. Takes down Luca. It's 11-4. It's not over till it's over.
Exactly. That's what
7F
I'm
needs to
saying.
start building up that momentum.
The difference in the defense is that 7F really wanted that showers control on defense, right? But Woody G seemed to want to give it away pretty easy, like you said. It gives the attackers a lot of space to use.
Yeah.
And they took it and ran with it, right?
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
exactly, Woody G are very good at, kind of staying chill, letting them take space and taking it back immediately. But with a team like 7F, it's not going to work.
No. With a team like 7F who, they want aggression. That's
Exactly.
what they've asked for. You're giving them exactly what they asked for.
You did good.
Dizzy getting shot down instantly. I mean, that's a pretty fast reaction. I feel like Dizzy barely even saw the corner, let alone got around it. A lot of Util being committed to just try to find any information, but Willie G just not willing to give any information up. You want to close out these last 2 rounds as quick as you can. You don't want to let that momentum start building up. Opting for this rotate. Luki might get caught out here with the 1 tap from Bark. A lot of impact from Guardians from the side of 7-fold. Very aggressive push. Going to start coming through. Looking to try and find that Lamb's control. The Seas will catch Deck out. And the spam comes through, takes him down with that body shot. Porky Chop with the close range Outlaw. You're going to go for the no scope, you're going to go for the quick scope. Take out Corso with that body shot. Such strong damage. A lot of spams coming through. This short control is what's going to decide the outcome of this round. The trade coming through. Luca followed by Bark. A lot of space being retaken by Willie G here with a headshot from Will. Backspace control has been taken, but Hazard trying to deny that, trying to take that back. Finds a second as well with a crouch spray. It's 11-5. 7F trying to claim any round they can.
This is so interesting because yesterday we saw Woody G and they were so prepared and they're so ready for any attack that happens. But like you mentioned, 7 they just want to run it down,
Yeah.
and they're getting exactly what they want, and they're ready for that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's getting to a point now where okay, the rounds are still a big gap, but it's looking a little bit more hopeful.
I mean, if you're Willie G at this point, you're starting to panic about losing these rounds.
Yeah,
You know,
you don't want to.
You're 2 off closing out the
Yeah.
match. You know how important momentum is in Valorant. And you're seeing this momentum start to build up. You know you need to shut it down as soon as you can.
But does that warrant a timeout? Possibly.
We might possibly get our first timeout if we see 7F maybe claim this round or the next. When you're on this pistol round, Willie G know that they're very unlikely to win this round. They kind of just have to get those picks, get that economy damage. Try to find something wherever they can. Both teams have opted to farm for the showstopper out of all odds. We've seen how aggressive both like to be. The paint showers, unfortunately, bouncing off the wall. Denying yourself with a nose-code comes through, takes out Deck at close angle, spams with the Sheriff, not able to find anything for Classic. But Porky Chop manages to find 2 picks of his own with the Guardian. A little bit of a whiff there with the Sheriff, but manages to find the pick in the end. 2 versus 2, headshot coming through from Luca. Has a Vandal in hand. Has the util to counter any sort of aggression if you manage to find that information early enough, but the showstopper's going to come online. Finding that ult came in handy in the end, and Porky Chop manages to find that pick. We were just talking about how Willie G will win that round, have it not supposed to.
Yep.
But farming that ult was definitely the perfect decision.
The showstopper was so strong. We've had there's a few issues. If you're playing Raze, you're hitting 60 damage with the showstopper, but these guys, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was no information even found that Haz was
Exactly.
even playing in triple, but just from the game knowledge alone,
Exactly.
knew that would be where you'd want to play from.
Definitely. I mean, they had cleared most of the site, and wanted to defuse the spike, but Haz we've seen him play.
Yeah, and with
There's
that
one
orbital
taps.
strike online as well,
Exactly.
you don't want to risk tapping the spike.
Definitely not. But Porky Chop going 21-9.
That is a very, very strong performance for only 17 rounds. Thrash will be invested here. Not managing to find anyone. The headshot comes through and the annihilation. Not managing to bounce around that wall properly. The double tap from Bark to take down 2 with that Sheriff.
Immediate rotate as well.
Will realizing, but you're getting pincered on from all angles. Takes down Bark, but the showstopper goes online, comes through into Lamps. Will go down, and that's a Phantom secured for 7-fold. There are signs of life for this round. Orbital Strike still online. Playing very passive for that post plant. No information really being given up from 7F here. Just trying to force Willie G into an uncomfortable position, and they do. And Waddles and Corsa, like clockwork, take down the remaining 2 players. Another round on the board, one at a time.
These guys are so good at getting kills with guns they probably shouldn't be winning fights with, right?
Yeah.
So we're seeing so many Sheriff kills, Guardian kills, and it's the early first bloods that are getting them the win, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing Bark getting 2 kills on B, instantly rotating, and then we'll get taken the showstopper once again, And not to mention, there's so much util dump from each team. It's bad.
But that's how Valorant goes.
Very
That's how
true.
Valorant goes. It's util everywhere, at all times. The triple stack over into showers. A risky gamble that doesn't really go your way. Giving up a lot of space over towards B site. But Fatal coming through, putting down low HP. The Decay coming through over into Hookah. So much space been taken. Waddles managing to find an empty hall to take control of, taking that peek over into CT as well. Bark finding that first blood, followed by Waddles. That's that space we keep talking about. Deck trying to find a pick, but Corsa finds one in the background, followed by Kufu, and Bark finding another. I know you're only against pistols, but that was a good sign. We've not really seen a round like that from 7F in a while.
Well, exactly. We're seeing, for the first time, they have 5 people left alive at the end of the round.
Yeah.
And we're getting to that point now where, Willie G, we're doing okay, they're still keeping up, but now, it's not looking too great. But they're on match point. No matter how many rounds they lose, they only need 1.
Yeah, exactly. But when you're 7F, you need to take it 1 round at a time.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for the sake of drawing this out a bit to try and get Willie G to be as exhausted as you are from your games yesterday. Orbital Strike coming through. Porkchop finds that tap over the box into short. Boombot being committed to just try and find any information. That backside control is so important over on the A site. Waddle's trying to find any empty space that you can. Dimensional Drift being invested. Willie G do not want to lose this round. We want to close out map 1 as quick as they can. Armageddon coming through. Followed by the Orbital Strike. That's so much damage over so much space. Luca manages to find that spray down with the Phantom. It's down to a 5v3 in such a short amount of time. But Molly going to come through and deny that defuse from Deck. Hazard finding a second with the Vandal, but Luki and Porkchop with a spray each, taking down the last 3 remaining members of Sevenfold. Map 1 will be going to Willie G Palace, 13-7. What a strong scoreline. We didn't expect it to be that close. After seeing a 9-3 first half with such domination from Willie G Palace, we weren't expecting so many rounds to be brought back by 7F.
No, definitely. I mean, I mentioned about yesterday's games being, 13-7, 13-8. I was like, okay, it's not looking too great, a little bit less than yesterday, but they managed to bring it back. And we're starting to see, them becoming a little bit more alive.
Yeah.
Again, it's first thing in the morning. They might not have warmed up. They were very, very tired from yesterday. So we're seeing that life start, a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. So many signs of life.
Yeah.
And so many rounds which you really shouldn't be winning when you're on those pistol buys with no utility and you're managing to go in and the shots are just hitting and you manage to secure some of those rounds.
Yeah.
That should not be happening.
You can tell why they're in the final, right?
Yeah.
And I think next game's going to be a lot closer to Pearl as well. This will be a very different map.
I think Pearl was probably the closest game these two had last time they were on stream. So we should hopefully be seeing a chance for 7F to show those signs of life and manage to actually secure something and go through and maybe get themselves into that map 3. But just looking at these replays coming through here, there was so many just clean, well-executed shots and plays. Just both teams seem to know where each other were at all times. It's just Willie G seems to just be that tiny bit stronger at actually converting that into rounds.
100%. I think, it's all due to that post plant. We're seeing, a lot of trades coming back and forth, and it's those last 30 seconds that are crucial. That Willie G, you can see that they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're seeing 7F finding these picks. They're never going down without a fight. They're always finding maybe 2 or 3 picks around, but it's just actually converting that and managing to close out that round, which they seem to be struggling with until the end there, when they were actually managing to convert those, managed to pick up quite a few rounds before being taken out. So hopefully they can bring that energy into map 2, which is exactly where we'll be taking you after a short little break. So don't go too far, and we will be right back.
nothing to obey. We're tearing down the old way. Can't they see our souls are one? Path to the sun has begun. Don't ever be afraid. Forever our fates are made. Everywhere there's Saturdays, we have future here to stay. I'm peeling back the skin from the person I've been. But don't wanna be tied down, can you see the light? Throw your face to the stars, far away with no scars. It's written in the cards.
never stop gaming.
Hello and welcome back to EPIC44 with Intel, sponsored by Overclockers and ASUS Republic of Gamers. I am Quix, your play-by-play caster, joined as always by Mads Bear, your color caster, and today we are going into map 2 of our stage grand finals of our Valorant tournament sponsored by ASUS Republic of Gamers. Map 1 was interesting. It started as a stomp.
Yeah.
And complete turnaround.
Yeah, definitely. We saw, the comeback trying to happen, and I think at that point, because of those 2 rounds that happened in the pistol rounds, getting to 11, you haven't got enough rounds in hand to try and bring it back, right? So you can bring back 5 or 6 rounds, but they only need 2.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that second half, we were starting to see, because the main issue which we talked about with 7F was the fact that they get themselves in positions where they could close out a round, and it's just in those last moments they tend to slip and they start to lose those rounds. But they started to, actually manage to convert those into actual round wins. We're starting to see them wake up a little bit more. Going into Pearl, they had quite a strong performance last time we saw them on Pearl.
Yep, definitely.
So hopefully, the fact that that's waking up a little bit and going into a map which they're a little bit stronger on.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, was Pearl the first map of the best 3 last time?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're seeing they're warmed up a little bit more.
Yeah.
And they're ready, and we're going to Pearl, a very, very strong map for 7F. And now that they hopefully have a little bit more momentum going, we'll have to see. But
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, I believe as well. And I mean, they said that they want to, run it down a little bit more. And we've seen A site on Abyss. If you manage to take art and main control, you can run it down so aggressively, both on attack and defense.
Yep,
You take that
yeah.
one half of the map, and you can just go for it. And we've seen so much aggression on Pearl so far this weekend.
Yeah. I think with Pearl, there's so many different places to hold on defense.
Yeah.
You're basically stretched out to having one person holding each, entrance, if you will.
True.
Because of that mid space. I think we'll be seeing a little bit of Killjoy. I'll be honest.
Could see a bit of Killjoy. We've
That
seen Killjoy
utility-
on Pearl
We
the other
have,
day.
because that util is so strong on mid, it allows you to just, be able to move over to B a little bit or towards A or art, just so that mid doors don't have to be held by an actual person.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like you were saying, because of the way that mid is laid out, it's such split lanes that if you want to cover all of them, that's 4 of your players completely spread out across the map, and then one person try and rotate across a map which only has 2 sides, but feels like it takes longer to rotate than it does on Lotus or Haven, which have 3 whole sides, which has never made any sense to me.
Okay.
We are seeing a possible Neon.
See, I told you. Told you. It's going to happen. She's coming back. I'm telling you now, she's coming back. But we have got Astra on both of the smokes. It makes sense. It's a very big map. I mentioned yesterday how, although it's only 2-sided map, it probably could be 3 if it wanted to be. So those Astra smokes being able to be placed from anywhere around the map works very, 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 very well for this map. Not to mention, they're big enough to cover down B long.
Yeah.
Because that little gap that separates long from the actual site itself, some of the smokes in this game aren't able to cover that.
You also get the fact that when you pick up the stars, it
Yes.
makes a smoke only temporarily without using any of your util. You can cross over in B long.
Yeah.
You can cross over
If you time
in
it
A
well.
main.
Exactly, and the comms are there for these teams to be able to do something like that, and it's going to probably work very, very well.
Yeah, exactly. And you can even just start to condition. You don't necessarily always even have to cross. You start getting people scared, thinking someone's crossed over into long. Someone is holding long. I need to stay here and combat it. There might not even be anyone there.
Yep.
But there's no way for you to know.
Exactly.
Because of those pickups giving you that cross.
Because of B long, we'll probably be seeing a few ops. I'll be honest with you. I'm not too sure. I'm liking the comp actually from Sevenfold, just in general. I think it's very sturdy. The ISO is one of those duelists where you don't really want him playing by himself as a duelist. But with the Neon, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. ISO has a lot of utility to take strong fights, just like this, already getting that wallbang through to take down Luca in only the first few seconds of the round. But doesn't really have util when it comes onto that entry. And next half of the spams coming through. Hazard and Porkchop trading out. Deck finding another. These teams are so aggressive. We saw it last map, and we're going to see it again. Deck finding another headshot to take down Kupfu. Complete A-side control has been taken, with so much space taken over into Secret as well. Luki looking to try and just Maybe find that slightly late flank is what we've been seeing a lot over the last couple days. Doubled up over into Flowers, 2 Sheriffs. There's a lot of firepower for a pistol round. Feeling the need to split up.
Very slow.
Try to take that CT control back. Corsa getting tagged down onto half HP. Spam's coming through. Lukey manages to find out that pick. And the Astra Pool coming through to close out a very, very easy kill for Deck. 1-0 to Willie G Palace to start.
Corsa once again getting that first blood. I would love to see the stats after this best of 3 and seeing how many first blood he's actually gotten. But what's the difference that we're finding with these pistol rounds is that 7F are winning them one-on-ones, but most of the time we see Willie G running in pairs.
Yeah.
And then they're taking and picking off people from 7F one by one, and they've got that advantage immediately.
Yeah. I mean, that first pick was so incredibly strong, but with how aggressive Willie G were, they were able to close that out. But Deck finding that first pick, Corsa not managing to get the first blood this time. When you're at that gun disadvantage, to also lose player advantage so fast. Not a position you want to be in for Sevenfold. We talk about this a lot though, when you win pistol round, it's kind of expected that you're going to win second as well.
Yep.
You have such an advantage with both utility and also your loadout.
It's probably why we saw the early pick from Corsa trying to, get a one-tap with that Sheriff. Trying to get any sort of gun that he could.
A-site being completely left open. I mean, you go for the gamble at this point when you're on the defense with only pistols, and you just stack towards one site.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to group up, right?
But you seem to have picked wrong this time. The plant's going to go down with 5 members still alive.
There's the rotate.
With rifles in hand, Porky Chop seems to be looking for a pick. Luca with a very, very deep lurk, managing to dodge out the way of that scan just about, but Waddles goes for the clear, but doesn't manage to land that shot. Flash going to be sent through into Fountain, slowing down that push. It's known that there's at least one more in CT than Lukey, trying to hunt down that pick. He's going to find the time and manages to take down Kufu, goes for a second, manages to find that too. Spam's coming through the box, Luca taking a little bit of damage. Swings out with the Halper Porky Chop, going to close out that round. Kind of what you expect from second.
Yeah, again, it's going to happen. I didn't understand the B rotate. I mean, obviously you have to group up, right? But, I don't know. It didn't really seem like there was any sort of information to go off of that.
The only information really given was that there was one pick over in B doors.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a B push.
Exactly.
It just means someone has been playing in mid.
Yeah, and Willie G are very well known for taking the second round slow because they know what it's like if you're going to get picked off.
Exactly, because we've seen what Willie G are like when they're on the second round and they're the ones with a pistol buy. So they play as if they're playing against themselves, and that seems to be what works for them.
Need that back.
Going for that mid control again, like we've talked about so much. Denying that turret. That is information given away. 2 different guns fired. You know that there's at least 2 players over in mid. Just such slow a gun trade going through. Porky Chop wants that Vandal to be able to take that entry. Goes out with a swing, gets tagged out by that Aldrome though. Is that enough to make you back off?
Apparently not.
The A-split looks like it's probably going to come through. The Prowler finding that information. Fawn's being thrown back into Flowers to cut off that pressure. Full smoke's going down, and A-site's been given up for free again. The spike will go down. It's going to be a retake, and Corso managed to get that headshot over onto Deck, but not before getting tagged himself. Down such low HP, the one tap from Will. Bark following up with 2. It's down to 4 versus 2. 7F needs to get this round on the board. Spam comes through with an even trade. 1 versus 3 for Lukey. Finds 1, isn't able to get that spray transfer with the above and below peak.
And this is probably, I think, the first time we've seen Sevenfold take that 3rd round after, losing those first 2 pistol rounds. And it's what they need, right? Because last game we saw them, okay, they lost the 3rd one. Okay, we'll try again on the 5th. Lost it. It wasn't working, and that momentum completely stopped. But now that gap isn't far at all. And they have a chance to keep up throughout the rest of the game and try to, take that gap and run with it themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the last thing which you want is for the gap to just start growing.
Exactly.
That's when it starts to break
Yeah.
your mental a little bit, when you're seeing the enemy team running so far ahead. But now that you're in that 1-2 scoreline, you still have full rifles yourself other than 1 Stinger. You're still in a very strong position to actually be able to try and take another round for yourself and balance out that scoreline completely. Waddle's going with a very aggressive push with a stinger. The pick will come through, of course, with a wallbang. Again, the attacking side, losing a player so early on in the round makes it so difficult to try and take that push. Ultimate coming through. Of course, with his domain expansion, looking to try and find that pick. Spams come through, takes down Deck. Managing to refresh that shield as well.
Complete.
And it's a 4 versus 2.
And immediately, the second that 7F start playing together in pairs or threes, you're seeing them take out Willie G one by one. Although Luca has got an operator, which I didn't even realize. That's not an operator.
Going in with the Outlaw.
The Outlaw.
Trying to hope
Okay,
that the
that makes more
7-4
sense.
haven't decided to try and spend those extra creds trying to get up and upgrade that armor. But in a 2 versus 4, when the defense are so calm and collected that they've not even thought about a rotate, let alone talked about it. Just sitting with a full setup on both sides and committing a player over to the con hold.
30 seconds left.
Timing might have been found. Luca goes to hunt for the pick, but gets taken down. The Outlaw has fallen. 1 versus 4, not a lot you can do. Bart closes that out. 2-2 scoreline. The next round, realistically, should go to 7F as well.
Hopefully. And what's really interesting is that they're really starting to play on Corsa wanting this first kill. So we're seeing him immediately push up A, and we're seeing teammates behind him, you know, shoot that trip that was there, and immediately helping out with the neon stuns. And it works so well, and they're starting to pick off Willie G one by one.
Yeah, I mean, they need to build up momentum. Like, we've kept talking about all of last
but
map.
it's so important, right?
Yeah.
And like, you can have good gameplay and stuff like that, but like, mental and momentum are all really very important. It's very slow this round though for Sevenfold compared to what they're used to. Well,
Other than the
Is
long
it-
push,
yeah,
but
but
everywhere
everyone's-
else has gone completely dead
that's
silent.
so much information already.
A little bit of damage does come through though. And a very aggressive push over onto A, trading out those guns as you walk into sight. Trying to get that plant down. Planting it over for main. Try to get that strong post plant coming through. Blade Storm online. Porky Chop looking to try and do some serious damage. Cooper does manage to find a pick over onto Luca, trying to get that backside control back. Another headshot coming through from Lukey. Just taking it in turns to take down one player. Deck managed to find the headshot over onto Corsa. Waddle's pick coming through with that trade, trying to even things out. Spam's going through the corner of the wall. Lukey followed by Will. And Lukey takes down another kill to close out a 3K. Another pistol round 1. Well, a half
Well,
buy,
yeah.
but still.
We've been seeing these guys do it. They did it, but yesterday, when they're on pistol rounds, they really have to start concentrating a lot more on their strats rather than the gunplay.
Yeah.
And they find themselves, you know, being in better positions than usual and being a bit more sneaky, if you will. You know, taking it a little bit more slower, and we see them not rush in so much.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we know that both these teams like that aggression.
Yeah.
But sometimes the aggression leads to overextending a little bit too much.
A lot of ultimates online as well.
Going for that full A main push with as much aggression as you can. Cosmic Divide will be invested, cutting off sight. Pushing any art players out of the way, but Bark with a Hunter's Fury manages to find one through into A main. The plant will be going down. Luca just trying to farm that Rose Garden. The scan will come through. Lukey has been spotted out. A few shots being traded, but Kufu finds that pick. Player advantage from the side of Sevenfold, and it's only going to keep going with Bark finding another. 5 versus 2 with not a lot of utility for Willie G to play with. Trying to hold the edge of his smoke. It's the double kill from Luca with a spray transfer. Goes to find a third, manages, but the no 4K for you. But Bark with a 4K of his own to shut down that round.
It's the mechanics of these players that even if you think a round is going so heavily one-sided, it can switch up so quickly. Obviously, you know, Bart coming in at the end, managing to get the kill anyway, but Luca has such high mechanical skill that you're sitting there going, this is still very possible.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you were talking about the fact that when they focus more on their strats, that's when, you know, things start to get really serious.
Yeah.
And it's because of the fact that their mechanics are so good on both teams.
Yeah, they don't need to
that
focus
it's
on
not
it.
something we need
No.
to think about because they do just hit their shots and they do just have that good movement anyway.
I think we might be seeing a tour de force coming out soon, possibly.
You want to
Oh, there
play,
we
you
go.
There it is.
Play.
Lukey putting that Tour de Force online.
I mean, it's so strong, right?
It's incredibly strong. The fact that you can have an op
Yeah.
that also puts down a field which slows down enemies is so strong without even having to spend any creds. Trying to slowly work your way up long here. Just checking every corner you can, one by one, but you have made some steps. What does the picture be aware? Was the last pixel of that barrel actually spotted? I saw Lukey's crosshair go onto it. To be caught out like that
I don't think so.
would be insane, but I don't think he has. Holding the cross. Waters just go down. But I heard the double tap go online. You don't really want to be peeking that with an op. I think managed to destroy the shield there. Putting on that pressure. The shield has gone down. Rose Garden coming through, denying any attempt to use those primary weapons. Having to switch to your pistols puts you at a disadvantage. Spam's going through. Lukey managing to take down Corsa. A 2v5. With the explosion over onto B side, the plant will be going down. A little bit of damage found from a shock dart, but Porkychop taking that control over into CT. Trying to look for a second try, close this out with a little spam onto every single angle that could possibly exist. Chucks the classic round the corner with that fake flash. The headshot comes through, it takes down Bark. I mean,
You love to see it.
the Rose Garden is
Oh,
way
it's
too strong.
so powerful.
It's so strong.
Especially on a site like B on Pearl. It's such an open site. There's nowhere for you to hide around a corner with a I mean, you got backside, but barely, right?
Yeah.
So you're pretty much in the open at all times with a classic.
And as well, to be on a round where you've only just managed to get back to the point where you can afford rifles.
Yep.
And then to have all of them just taken away
stripped
from
away.
you
Yep.
anyway, and then you have to fight with those classics, now means that you're going into a pistol round
Yep.
after being forced to play pistols on your buy round. Going with that insane aggression, just trying to use that move to get through mid. Doesn't quite work out for you though, and Waters does get taken down. Tried to go for that insane aggression, which is what we want to see
Yep.
on a pistol round. You have to go a little bit crazy
You do.
and just do something which on any other round would be a bad decision. But when you're on that pistol round and no one's expecting you to do that, that's kind of exactly what you have to go for. Will managed to find the information on that A main push. Not overcommitting to that fight though. You don't really want to accidentally drop that rifle and give it over to 7F. You want to keep that gun advantage as long as you can. Lukey finding the headshot through onto Hazza. That's a lot of space taken. Art is so important. The Haunt and the Prowler committed over into main, but steps out just a second too early. C's committed as well, but the one tap comes through and Kupu finds it anyway. That's the kind of damage which you're hoping to find when you're on this pistol round. Scan coming through. The plant will be secured. With only classics in hand, there is no possible way to even feel the tiniest bit safe. Trying to find any space, Bart gets taken down,
Yeah.
and it's only a matter of time until Trench is pushed as well. But that kill over in A main, a Haunt, a Prowler, and a C's all committed. And then one bullet of a
tap.
Sheriff, and that's just shut it down completely.
Yeah, I mean, I like the play. Sometimes you, again, pistol rounds, you have to be sneaky. Managed to get the kill, but, you know, trade it out pretty quickly. But the scoreline's still not bad. Right, they're still, you know, there's going back and forth. But because these 3 rounds happened early on for 7F, they're still in the game, right? Because they had 3 at the end of last half. Sorry, the first half of the last game. So anything from here is probably a bonus. Not to mention that they're still not on attack.
Yeah. Very true. And that momentum which we've been talking about building up as well.
Yeah.
There were signs of it, and it got shut down so much by just one well-placed ult. Hazard stepping out of con, manages to find one, but switches to the knife to try to run away. And maybe a little bit prematurely to allow Deck to manage to close out that double kill. The defense has been completely split up. Numbers advantage going over to Willie G. But still a lockdown that could be committed here. But in a 1 versus 3, it's probably too risky. Spam's going over into Link. C's comes through, manages to catch Kubfu, but manages to get the pick anyway. Not able to quite hide around that corner. Will finds you, takes you down. 2 versus 3. It can be done until Corsa gets taken down. Sometimes the double tap just isn't enough to keep you alive. Waddles with the Bucky, comes through, finds one. Ultimate online, finds a second, isn't quite able to close out that third. That was close.
Really?
Things got ropey for Willie G at the end there.
The Neon ult is so strong, right? Even after the nerf, if you know they're all on site, you still have time to use it well. But I mean, if you're getting one tap,
Yeah.
there's not much you can do. But the confidence to swing and peek that, you got it, right? But at the same time, I mean,
You have to
fair
respect
enough.
it.
Yeah,
You have to
definitely.
respect it, but a little burst is all that it takes sometimes. A well-executed burst to take down ISO, even when he's got that double tap online. Starting off with an insanely aggressive push, which is what we like to see from Willie G. It's where they thrive. Spam's coming through. Porkychop taken down to half HP. Bladestorm. But right click not managing to find anyone out, but Kumfu manages to get that headshot. Takes down the Prowler, finds a second. Luca with the trade. The plant will be secured. This has been the best attempt at a site hold so far from 7F. We've seen how strong their retakes can be. Trying to commit any information-based util you can. The headshot comes through. Corsa with the trade. It's a 2 versus 2. Finds another. Corsa, can you find a third? To close out one more round for your team with a jump peek with a classic right click to get the 3K. Get that 4th round on the board.
You gotta do it.
You gotta respect it. There's no way that you can't.
Unbelievable. I'm pretty sure Corsa used his ultimate within like the first 3 seconds of the round.
Yeah.
And immediately just wasted it. But that's okay. He's redeemed himself. Yeah,
exactly. The ult didn't go your way, but you managed to come through with a triple kill involving a disgusting jump peek.
Did he even know he was there?
No,
Like, it was
just going off a win.
Unbelievable. And we're seeing them show up more. You mentioned, they're really holding down sight. Kufu managing to get 2 before getting taken down, giving Sevenfold enough time to rotate back onto A.
Which, that's really been where 7F have been struggling.
Yeah.
Is most of the time when the site's getting pushed, they're not managing to find any of those picks before they're pushed off the site. But speaking of, Deck's going to come through and find that double kill to just get so much momentum already in the start of the round, forcing Waddles to take so much space away. Porkychop takes you down. Hazard not willing to go down without a fight, neither is Kubfu, but taken down by Porkychop. It's now 1 versus 4. The plant will be secured over on A site. Hazard receiving audio from so many different angles. Who do you prioritize first? Counters for flash. For Fawns in the double jet smoke. There's not really a lot you can do when you're pushing into art against 4 players. Gets taken down by Porkychop.
But just like that, right? It switches up so quickly. Woody G, they come back and they're just dominating the round again. 7-4, right? At this point, I think 4's okay for Sevenfold. They want this attack. They know it a lot better than this defense. You can see them wanting to attack on defense, right?
Yeah.
That energy's there. And I think we might be seeing a little bit better than we did in the first game.
Yeah, exactly. And we saw the fact that 7F are better on attack anyway, just
Yeah.
as a team. That's when they started to actually bring some rounds in the last map. Holding this angle. Everyone be along. Opting for the safe option, just back off. No need to overheat. The jump peek's going through. So now that util Cosmic Divide will be invested. Nade's coming through to try and deny any chance at a plant. You have to go looking for this space. The plant will be cancelled. Kubfu finding 2. Luki and Deck will fall. The rotate coming through, but Luca does get caught out by that lockdown, trapped over behind Pillar. The dink through the box, only taken down to half HP in the spam. Kubfu managed to find one, but Will finding 2 of his own. 3 versus 2, Hunter's Fury not really finding any damage here. Just trying to find any space that you can. It's known that the rotate was fake. It's not actually gone over to A. You have to hold this cross now. You found that information over in A main.
30 seconds left.
Hazard and Bark just holding these passive angles, but the headshot comes through. Will with a third. 2-on-2. No player advantage. Spike does go down. But Nightmare being committed. But you haven't cleared back halls, and Hazard finds one. Trying to find that second kill, close it out, get 7-5 half. Unova, you need to, but the headshot comes through. Porky Chop his. That audio cue, setting up a one-way with that smoke. Trying to just hold Corsair out of sight. Only 8 bullets in the mag though, but finds the headshot. And it's going to be an 8-4 first half to Willie G Palace.
I'm wondering why Corsair's on A. We saw him running, sprinting straight back onto the side to try and help out, but unfortunately hasn't worked. But 8-4. Better than last half.
It's a strong first half. Last half was 9-3.
Yep,
You know,
we're getting there.
An extra round. And we did talk about how they're just better on attack
They
anyway.
are.
That
But
is their
again,
Epic style.
Willie G Palace have a very, very strong defense. No matter what comp they have, they hold their ground and they hit their shots. And if that's your baseline,
This is also
pretty
very
sturdy.
true. Just going to have to see how they're planning on playing this defense. But I mean, with the Jet and Chamber combination, you know it's going to be very operator focused.
yeah.
Sending through shock darts early. Astro Util being committed. Smoke goes through. One more star to play with.
Standing ahead.
Scans come through, trying to find that information. The headshot. Corsair takes down Will. Luca trying to find a trade of his own, but Corsair shutting you down. Deck followed by Porkchop. Bodies dropping left, right, and center, but site control is mostly sevenfolds for the taking if they're fast enough. Trying to just look for these extra picks. The double tap shut down. Porky Chop with a headshot. 13 HP on deck. You can't get too aggressive, but Lukey and Porky Chop have your back. It's a 9-4 scoreline. Pistol round will go to Willie G Palace again.
I mean, again, these rounds are so close and we're seeing it. The attack is working really, really well. But it's those shots that Willie G can hit.
Yeah.
That is just...
It's like we talked about with map 1 as well. 7F are so strong at setting up the perfect win.
Yeah.
And then in those last couple moments,
Yeah.
they just end up fumbling the last moments of their play and don't manage to convert it into rounds. There is no bad players on that team. The team play well together. They're just struggling to actually convert it into anything meaningful.
Definitely, and we are now seeing a range of guns. The Outlaw makes sense, right? You've got Porky Chop holding down B-Long, most likely. He's chilling. But he can also hold it down on his own, which is really important. As a duelist, that shouldn't be normal, but they trust him enough to do that. And that's the difference with this team. I mentioned earlier that the defense can be very stretched out on this map because of the amount of entry points there is. But you can trust Willie G Palace to hold their ground on their own.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times it works.
Especially when it's an Outlaw in the hands of a Jet as well.
Yep.
You have that dash to almost guarantee yourself a second attempt, but you can get so many easy picks, especially against a pistol round. There's no armor. The Outlaw is going to one-hit anyone if you hit him in the body. You're in a very strong position, but you can kind of just leave a Jet with an Outlaw in their hands, and you can just put them on a site and just tell them to have fun.
Yeah.
We've seen it with basically every team in this whole tournament. The second you get an Outlaw or an Op in Jet's hands, you can just give them a site and just leave them to it.
It's deadly. You shouldn't be allowed to, but you can. And we're seeing the judge. I love the judge. We were talking about this a bit yesterday.
We were.
It's
We
great
were
to
asking
see.
for more judges.
I mean, it depends on where Deck wants to play, obviously. Spamming the phone at the moment, but we're seeing a little bit more of a free stack towards A. Possibly one of them going toward... Yeah, okay, Art makes more sense.
I mean, just based on how we've seen 7F play their attack half in the past,
Yeah.
what has been working for them? Because they have had a lot of strong matches.
Yeah. I think on their defense, right, they get that first blood. It works really, really well for them. I think that might be worth it. We haven't seen a lot of, changing in pace from them. It's either, really, really fast for one whole round or really slow for the next, right? So maybe possibly going a little bit slower, managing to get a pick, and then immediately rushing in to try and even onto a different site, just switching it up and confusing Willie G just enough to be able to try and get that spike down.
Yeah, definitely. But Waddle'll show him that aggression, which has been shown on many pistol rounds before. Shorty in hand. Opting not to hide in the smoke, trying to take a little bit more space. Once your team backs off into mid, Prowler committed over into B-Link, doesn't manage to find any information, leaves Waddles in a pretty strong position here. You just have to kind of play this slow when you don't really have any kind of weapon advantage on your side. Deck feeling nervous about this potential comp push behind him. Loses the timing on the art players, gets taken down with the shorty. Deck does go down, but not before Luca can get a triple kill with the Spectre, managing to close down any attempt at taking that space. Waddles has stolen that Judge. Dangerous idea seeing Waddles with both a Judge and a shorty as his loadout on Neon. Managing to get this round down to a 2-2 when it's your pistol round. It's very impressive, but Porky Chop using that outlaw we talked about. Managing to just land that one body shot, it's all it takes.
Go, go, go.
The upgrade to the Bulldog was found, tries to get the slide peek, but doesn't realize that both are backside. Gets taken down. But that's kind of all we could ask for from a pistol round.
Right, like I said, you know, they started off slow, managed to get the first pick, and then immediately rushed in. And exactly right, they got 3 kills. There's not much more you can ask for. And this is still doable. This is still very, very doable. They have the gun advantage now. Yes, the shields aren't looking too great, but we're not seeing any Vandals from the side of Willie G, which is a good sign for 7F.
But what you have to be scared about with 7F is that you know that the Outlaw is still about.
Yep.
And you have 2 players with regen and light shield. You do have 2 people who are forward in only 1 shot.
Very true.
Although Corsa being one with regen, having the double tap.
That's exactly what I was just about to say.
It does make it a little bit more doable.
Yeah.
Waddle's trying to be as aggressive as always. It's taken so much space. Corsa trying to farm up that ult. A very strong ult for attack. Being able to just take someone off the site, even if you lose the 1v1.
Yep.
Being able to just give numbers advantage to your team for when they push in.
We haven't had any early kill yet, though, which we have seen pretty much most rounds so far.
Almost every round has been the first pick within the first 20 to 30 seconds. This has been the slowest start so far, but Hazard does get found by that Outlaw, taken down with a body shot. That's the light shield down, there's only the regen left to go.
Focusing.
Putting that double tap online.
Destabilizing.
Looking for an opportunity to try go in, try and find some impact. Kupu taking that art space, but Deck with the Judge jumps through Corsa's wall, taking him down. Kupu followed by Bark, managed to find 2 picks between them. Deck managing to get that trade. Well, with the Judge, only has 1 shot remaining, it's not enough. But when you're only on 31 HP in a 1v1 against Luki, you need to play this situation perfectly.
30 seconds left.
And I agree that
This is the perfect play.
you should be going for maybe the rotate.
17 seconds left. This is not the time to be slow walking.
A game of cat and mouse going on here over in CT, just about losing timing on each other on every corner. Luki hears the recon dart though, and that's enough to know that it's a B plant. Just about managing to secure that plant with only 1 second left on the clock. Luki knows that he has to fight someone who's extremely low HP, but Bark goes on the aggression, finds that pick. 10-5, back on the board. Got to build that momentum.
And we're seeing the same thing as last time, right? They had 11, and slowly 7 started to bring it a little bit back. This time they have another round in hand. Could be seeing a little, you know, maybe possibly hitting double digits for both teams.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've not really had many overtimes.
No, no.
There's only been a few, so maybe we'll see the first overtime from map 2.
Who knows?
I have faith. I believe that 7F can pull this back. I want to see a map 3. A 10-5 scoreline isn't the worst. You still have a couple rounds to play with. Just got to build up that momentum and keep it going. Information not found. Prowler going into the box rather than around the corner. But Judge from such a close angle, you can't even push into mid to double check. C's managing to catch you out, especially when you're on a Neon. It's not really what you want to be experiencing. With a slide into the smoke, manages to find the pick, upgrading to the Phantom. Of course, with one of his own back over onto site, but Luki shutting that down. With a trade over onto Bark, trying to find a second. Spammed out with the Guardian. Full site control has been taken for this 4 versus 2, but Luca with the aggression jumps out the smoke. Taken down without breaking a sweat. 7-fold looking to find their 6th round. Porkchop being the only player remaining. With that dash about to run out, finds the body shot, taking Waddles down to such low HP. But now you can just switch out and send someone else with a full armor to go instead. And the peak does come through. Kubfu managed to close out the 6th round. Sevenfold slowly clawing it back. Signs of life, managing to convert those rounds like we've been talking about.
I mean, they're taking turns at this point, right? We're seeing 7F really come back and show who they really are, right? But it's the shots they're hitting, the headshots.
Just constant
It's
headshots.
just, and Waddle siding in with the judge constantly, or the Bucky, or literally anything. And it's great to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's already pretty difficult to take a fight when someone jumps for a smoke unexpected, but when it's a neon slide with so much aggression straight into you with a judge in hand, there's not a lot you can do. But trying to mix things up, going with an insanely aggressive A-main push. Bladestorm being committed. That was read perfectly by 7F, who just want to run and go try to take that weaker site. But you're going to have to do it quickly before this rotate comes through.
Retrieving flash.
Looking for any kind of information when you're on this pistol round, you really need to. And the stun comes through. Luca managed to find the pick over onto Waddle, shutting down my judge. Corsa, Hazard, then Bark with 2. It's now down to a 4 versus 1. The Bladestorm is strong, but it's not that strong. Gonna have to just try your hardest. So much util being spammed against you. Looking to find that 7th round. It's Corsa. 10-7. It's getting closer and closer by the second.
Very, very close. I would have thought that Woody G wanted to use that Rose Garden. They want to save round. It would have made the playing field a little bit more even. Maybe try and save it for a round that are, you know, a bit more some sort of advantage. But they can't be losing these rounds.
No, at this point you just need to any round which you can get your hands on for both teams.
Yeah.
One's so close to closing out the match and being able to just win all of EPIC.LAN, whilst the other is trying desperately to get that 3rd map in play.
Well, like the distance between Woody G winning and Sevenfold evening the score is the same now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, either way, it's close.
It could be anyone's game. Lukey was just about spotted out by that owl drone though. Gets peeked by the double tap for complete counter to the operator. Managed to find that initial pick. 7F needing to work off this momentum. Finds the dink with the judge, but not the kill. But Luca does get traded out by Corsa. Site control completely taken by 7F. To start to get that plant down, start to put that pressure on, reduce the timer. Has a find the pick over onto Will. Double tap does get taken down. It's 4-2, but the spams through the wall. Deck is aware. Takes down Bark. Only 2 ults online. None of those really have that much impact in this moment. Deck finding a pick down onto Hazard. Gets traded out by Corsa. Kubfu up to follow. It's 10-8. 1 round at a time. 7F really pulling out every stop they can think of to try and bring back these rounds.
4-8. And look where we are now. And exactly, you mentioned like 1 at a time. 1 doesn't seem a lot, right? When you're down that many rounds. But slowly, you know, it starts to add up and it's looking promising. But the aggression coming out from Woody G was very different from what we used to, right?
Yeah.
They're very composed usually, and you see them really starting to panic.
They're trying to just switch things up and
Yeah.
just test anything to see if it's going to work. But we've seen them all tournament playing so passively.
Yeah.
And just letting the other team make their mistakes and then closing in on those gaps. But the problem is when you do that and then 7F start to play these perfect rounds where they're not making mistakes, it's hard to find those gaps and try and capitalize off of those.
Yeah, we've got King Haz there, the coach for 7F this weekend. Very good player.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Played in EPIC.LAN quite
He
a few
has.
times himself.
Yep.
He knows exactly what the environment is like.
Trying anything they can, you know. Just thing is, what they're doing is working, but they know for a fact Woody G are good at adapting very quickly to what 7F are going to be, you know, trying out. So, keeping things, you know, keeping it light on the feet, you know, trying out new things every round.
I mean, 7F, very, very aggressive on attack. Always.
Yeah.
And sometimes aggression does work to counter aggression.
It does.
But when it's a team like 7F who they want to be pushed, they've talked about this, they want to run it down and they want the enemies to run it down against them because that's what they enjoy. Then you can't really pull out those kind of strats to try and shut that down.
It's you and me.
Hunter's Fury going online very early, already finds 1 tag. Not managing to find a second, but Luki with the tour de force takes down Waddles. But Corsa managing to get the trade, balance out those numbers on each side. A lot of information being found over towards A, but the rotate not quite being called just yet. Spreading out across mid.
Bot coming back.
You have to just try and take space wherever you can find it. Just about managing to dodge the chamber trip past that smoke. The spams come through. Kubfu managing to win that fight with the crab walk out into Fountain. Player advantage back on the side is sevenfold. You need to pick where you want to go, and you need to pick quick. Given too much time for Willie G to clock on to what's going on. Shock darts coming through, just trying to find damage.
30 seconds
Looking for that
left.
backside control. Will managed to find that headshot, takes down Hazard.
Down A.
The Horn tags out one, committing the ultimate through. Doesn't realize you're peeking into a triple man peek. Bookshot finds one, goes for a second, and close it down. Can you find a third? It's 1 versus 2, you have to push straight into the tour de force, and you're taken down. 11-8, Willie G finally managing to claw back one more round for themselves.
Such a good play. I mean, we saw Willie G, you know, focusing towards B a little bit 4 on that site, but the spike was dropped in A main, right? And we're seeing that hold down, but the time was running down. We got about 25 seconds left on the clock, and that fade siege, grabbing all the players from 7F, not being able to run and grab that spike in time. The pressure is on, and then PokeShop comes in and just sweeps the floor, really. But
yeah, exactly. Like, you know that everyone's going to have to run you down and fight you to be able to get that spike back. But you know that your positioning is now so strong.
Yeah.
Because you have complete control over A main. Which it looks like we might be looking to try and capitalize on the same thing again. But Corsa managed to find that first blood, takes down Luca. Waddles getting caught out by that Prowler. That's important information given away. But the space in B-Link is going to be taken with so much aggression that Luki might not be able to do anything, but he does. The double tap goes down just in time, finds one, finds a second, goes for a third, but not quite managing to close that out. Traded out by Waddles, Kubfu up to follow. 3 versus 2 with 3 ultimates to use as well, but a spam through the wall, Waddles is taken down. The plant will be denied. Now you have to reclaim that spike. To manage to get that plant down if you want a chance. Operator in hand, Hazard looking to try and find some impact here. Takes down Porky Chop. It's for 2 versus 1, and Kubfu with the aggression. It's now 11-9. 7F are not out. It's not over until it's over.
Not at all, but we're just seeing 7F are really starting to understand how Willie G want to play. And they're kind of nudging them a little bit, you know, keeping them uncomfortable and on their feet. And it's really starting to work. And we're seeing them, you know, a few players go down, right, from 7F. They don't panic, you know, they stay grouped, they find their 2v1s, and they bring the score down.
Exactly, and with the state of the creds right now,
yeah,
with 2 stingers and some pistols, this should be 7F's round to win. And B has been left completely open. It's a full mid push from Willie G. But with that Visor there, it's going to be very difficult to try and take that space without getting separated. Luca managing to spot that rotate back. Corsa finds the first pick, takes down Luca. The Visor is no longer a problem. Gets a second. PokeShop goes down. Spam's coming through. That smoke. Can you go for a third? Not quite. Luki and Will get that trade. And the Stinger to follow.
Down B.
The numbers advantage goes to Willie G. Rifles being claimed. The upgrade has been found. Kubfu almost managing to find that lineup. Takes down one before going down. But it's another 1v2, operator in hand. Are you going to go for the aggression through the smoke? Are you going to hold? Go a little bit slower. Luki on such low HP. Cosmic Divide coming through, making this an impossible situation for Hazard. This is not a situation you ever want to be in.
Still 40 seconds left on the clock. There's time.
Committing a star. Trying to get any control of this area back on your side. The wall's going to fall down. You're going to get spotted out. Chuck the operator off the map. Don't give that away. Is it time to jump out of the smoke? Give us another jumping right click, but not quite. Luki takes it down with a headshot. It's 12-9. Match point for Willie G from a pistol round.
Endless amounts of Astra smokes. There's nothing you can do at that point. Yeah, you've got the op, and it's a lot more powerful, especially how weak Woody G were, but when you're having to peek out the smoke and then, you know, an Astro Ball, not the position you want to be in, you know that they're holding that cross perfectly and there's not much you can do.
No, exactly. I mean, especially when you're going through the Cosmic Divide, like, you can't even listen out for sound
No.
cues to know where to even pre-aim.
But
Makes
now
it tricky.
we are hitting match point.
Match point, 12-9.
And they've clawed back so much. And but the thing is, you can tell why they're in the final, right?
Yeah.
They deserve to be here. They've had good competition between these teams all weekend. Just want to see them, you know, go into the overtime and try and, you know, bring third map if possible.
It's been a very admirable run throughout the whole tournament, but this map especially, they seem to have corrected so many of the mistakes which were showing on Bind. And it shows. I mean, 12-9, that's a very close scoreline, but, you know, calling a timeout, hoping to try and use this to just figure out any last mistakes that are going wrong, trying to find where those gaps might be so you can capitalize on them.
I mean, not to mention, I think Woody G picked Pearl. This was their map to pick. So losing your map, first off, isn't where you want to be.
No.
So the mentality about that isn't great, but they're doing well on Pearl. I think they keep that confidence high after losing that round, you know, on match point now. So as long as you can keep that morale up, still definitely doable.
Exactly, and especially when your force contains 3 rifles,
Yep.
it's still a fairly strong place to go from, especially if those rifles are going to take those first fights. Waddles looking to try and take this space. Does get spotted on that initial peak. Overdrive coming online, but gets shut down by Will. Spams through the smoke. Porkychop finds the second pick of a round. It is down to a 4 versus 3. Not a lot of HP to play with for 7F. Luca claiming that op. Cosmic Divide coming online, splitting the map completely in half. The lockdown being deployed as well. If you play this right, you might have a lot of impact here. Hazard finding the headshot over onto deck. Such an important pick to find. Lockdown not managing to find anyone. But it lets you know how much control of sight you have. Looking for his spams over to Flowers. Luca goes down. It's a 3 versus 2. Putting Util down to gather any information that you can to just try and slow down the retake. But Porkychop just managing to slip past the cone of vision. Koopfu's aware, goes for the peak, finds one HP. Can't find the time for the reload. Classic in hand gets taken down, but Bark with the trade is 12-10. It's never over till it's over, 1 round at a time. 7F managing to stay in the running.
I mean, that was not looking like their round, I'll be honest with you. The overdrive immediately getting taken out by Will. You've got to start, you know, panicking. They don't. They don't at all, you know, sit back, they wait, like, no, this is still doable. Let's hold these angles and these crosses. Like you mentioned, you know, slowing down that retake. Porkychop, you know, managing to get past the turret, but it's not enough.
Now we wait.
No, it's really not enough.
Retrieving wall.
I mean, you know, there was once a time where that Killjoy turret would have spotted you out there. Prowler comes through, managing to find it very, very early information. And you know that B long is clear. It's very unlikely that it's going to be a B push, but do you realize how many are stacked over towards the mid? Just looking for information. Can't make a decision too soon. You don't want to give up any number advantage when you're on match point. Looks for the first man, just take down Bark. Goes for a second, finds Koopfu as well. Finds the third while concussed with a 1-tap. Porkychop managed to get that kill with a Blade Storm as well. It is a 5 versus 1 for Willie G. Corsa, you have to pull out something truly special here. And the spams go through. Deck falls. Trying to find that vulnerable with a Nightmare. Throwing up that wall, just trying to isolate some gunfights, because taken out with a long-range Stinger. It is going to be a 2-0 win for Willie G Palace to close out EPIC44. That's 2 epics in a row going to Willie G Palace. But what an admirable game. That was so close.
Deck. I mean, you can't do it, man. You can't be doing
getting a
that. You can't be doing that,
getting
man.
pushed by a neon slide.
I mean, if anyone had a chance of clutching that up at the end, it would have been Corsa, but unfortunately, he can't have that three in a row streak of that EPIC.LAN win. So the win goes to Woody G Palace once again.
A very well-deserved win.
Yeah.
You do have to admit, I believe they only dropped 1 map during the entire tournament. A very, very strong run. Very strong run. We're seeing Some great plays from this match. I mean, we were given so many gems
But from both teams, right?
from both teams. Everyone was
Yeah.
performing. I mean, I can't think of a single player that match who didn't at least give us a highlight or at least have impact to support their team. It's like we were talking about earlier, just such mechanically gifted players.
Yeah. So many headshots.
So many clutches this game as well. There's
Yeah.
so many rounds which are 1 versus 3s, 1 versus 4s. And for Willie G Palace to lose so many rounds in that second half as well, it was starting to look a little bit ropey. Going from 8-4 all the way to 13-10.
Impressive.
It was a very impressive run.
look at
We
this.
had a lot of amazing plays. It's been a great series to end off a great tournament, but we will be chucking you guys back over to our amazing hosts on stage.
Thank you so much. And my, what a way to end this tournament. Now, they were the favorites coming in, but what a showing.
Oh, 100%. I got a bit excited towards the end. So I was like, oh, they might bring this back. It's going to be a third map. But, you know, it is how it is. It just happens the way it's meant to.
Exactly. Now, if we can have our winners maybe come and stand around the trophy, potentially. Come on up. Don't be shy.
See,
No strangers to this moment either, so... Now, before we do anything, we do have to... We'll pass the microphone around. You can give us, you know, the thoughts, the feelings, any shout-outs that you want to do?
Shout out Pork Sports. It's the best server ever. I mean, I could have played better, to be honest. But, you know.
Too humble.
Good enough.
You know what? You said too humble, so I'm gonna come over to you. You got to talk yourself up now.
Okay, first of all, shout out the Brim of Death, and also shout out the rest of the team, especially Luca, helping us get through groups. Yeah, also shout out Pork Sports.
Now, passing the microphone along. How is the team feeling throughout that whole series? Any funny moments, highlights, anything that maybe, you know, people might not have got to see the behind the scenes, the real you, that you want to talk about maybe?
Nah, not really. It was a clean game. We know what we're doing. Had a clear plan. Just easy game.
Is there any chance you were feeling a bit intimidated when, you know, they started bringing it back a little during that last game?
No, not really, to be honest. Yeah, they're a good team. We didn't want to give it to them. Like, we know they can make comebacks, but yeah, we were confident the whole time. So, yeah.
Honestly, such a brilliant shot, I'd say. I was backstage, I was like, okay, it's going to go to third map. There was predictions. There's a rule about predictions, but you broke the curse, basically.
I believe there is one all-important final question we ask each time. There's one person left to answer it. Are you coming back again?
Yes.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Just
right.
a yeah.
What we're going to do is we're going to bring forward the wonderful Sophie from ASUS Republic of Gamers. We're just going to say some words of wisdom and present you with the trophy, or at least announce the trophy lift.
Well done, guys. Yeah, well done, guys. Congratulations. Good game.
You guys ready? Whoa. Get the duck. The real question is who gets to keep the duck. Luca gets the duck. Anyway, I will let you guys go take your trophy and sit down, celebrate and relax after a hard-won series. Now, Curtis, does it look like Sophie has something in her hands?
I know, I think there's a little extra prize that might be being given away right now.
Is there a little extra prize to give away here?
There is a little prize. So we have a prize for it's a ROG Falchion HFX and our ROG Harp ROG mouse. Esports focused, so whoever wins them can upgrade their kit, hopefully.
I'm
Now,
jealous.
I think we do have the name of an MVP.
We do.
It took a lot of deciding, a lot of heartfelt conversations. Would you like to announce what it is?
I think I'll let you do it. You have your moment.
Well, it is my greatest honor to announce that our MVP of the EPIC44 VALORANT tournament with ASUS Republic Gamers is Corsa. Come on up and collect your prizes. Would you like to come and have a little chat with us, or do you want to put them down first, or you put them down? That's a good idea as well. You don't want to accidentally drop them.
Yeah, don't want to ruin the new peripherals.
No, I know. And new peripherals. Are you going to be using them? We're going to see you coming back next LAN.
Maybe, I don't know. It depends. I think we had good vibes, so I'll be happy to come back with the same people. But we'll just have to see. I might be here next LAN.
And we've got to ask, what's the secret behind the magic?
The webcam method.
Yeah, you know what? Fair enough. Everyone has their sort of tricks up their sleeves.
Ignite Esports as well. Shout out Ignite Esports.
I was about to ask, any other shout-outs that you want to do? Family, friends, adoring fans?
Shout out to everyone in the crowd. Shout out Ignite, Lost Puppies, and I'll be ignited next LAN.
Excited to hear now. We will let you go sit down and get ready, enjoy your prizes, have a look over them. Now, Sophie, any parting words from you?
No, it's been great. I think the team's been doing really well, so congratulations to the winning team. And hopefully we'll be able to sponsor or run our own next tournament next time.
Exciting stuff, but I think that's about it from Valorant, isn't it?
Yeah, but we do have a really exciting game coming up as well next, don't we?
We do. The excitement is not over. We'll be heading to a short break, and then we will be back in a little bit for the Counter-Strike 2 finals as well, and that is shaping up to be pretty awesome. So don't go anywhere, and we'll see you shortly.